Good morning, class 10 students. Today we are going to study the same chapter economics, sectors of the Indian economy. Its second part. First of all, let us see how to create more employment opportunities. We have seen in India, large number of people still depend primary sector. Even though secondary sector and tertiary sector production increased, but employment opportunities are very less in these sectors. And that's why large number of people are depending primary sector for finding out their means of livelihood. So people are facing disguised unemployment in primary sector. So in order to increase income level of the people, what steps government can do? Or what are the possible ways to create more income or more employment opportunities for the people? Let us see that. How to create more employment? We know that since a large number of people are depending primary sector for finding out their means of livelihood, and majority of the people are, we know that actually small farmers. Large farmers are very less in number, and for the purpose of production, they will be able to manage all the facilities by themselves. But for the poor and small farmers, they may be depending rainfall for the purpose of cultivation. They may not be able to arrange water supply by themselves. So in such a situation, if government of India spend some money and construct a dam and canals, water can be taken through these canals from the dam to irrigate the field of small and marginal farmers. So instead of only depending rainfall, they will be able to get water, and with the help of the water, they can produce more than one time on the same piece of land. When they cultivate on the same piece of land more than one time, their family income increases, more number of people are getting employment opportunities also. So that is one way we can say actually construction of dams and canals increases the income of the people, because with the availability of water, more number of people can come forward for cultivating in their field, and when they cultivate, their income level increases, and when their income level increases, they will be able to lead a better standard of living. The second one is that actually when production increases, suppose agricultural production increased with the help of water supply. That means that is the development of primary sector. So when primary sector develops or when agricultural production increases, that leads to the development of tertiary sector, because more facilities may be needed. If proper transportation facilities are arranged by the government, more vehicles will come to the cultivation areas, and products can be directly taken to the market, because there will be more products, and these more products can be taken to the market. If better transportation facilities are arranged, so in transportation service also large number of people will get employment opportunities, and moreover people would be able to sell their product very easily to the market. So people will get more income in that way also. And another method is actually making availability of cheap credit, because for the cultivation of small farmers and marginal farmers, they needed to get money. Most of the cases they are depending money lenders or traders or large farmers for getting loan. So when they get loan from money lenders or this category of people, they needed to pay back the money with a high rate of interest. This affects their total income and their livelihood. And because of that, if government takes initiative steps and compelling the banks to provide cheap agricultural loan to all the farmers, whether marginal or small farmers, automatically they also would be able to get loan. With the help of this loan, they would be able to practice cultivation, and they would be able to save some money for their future use. So this also would help them to lead better standard of living. So one is construction of dams and canals. Second one, arrangement of transportation. Third one, cheap credit. Fourth one, setting up industries in semi-rural areas, small type of industries. in the semi-rural areas, like a cold arrangement of a cold storage. We can say that in the rural areas, or vegetable processing industries, setting up of honey collection centers, dal processing units. So all these kinds of industries can be established in the semi-rural areas. So instead of going to the city areas, rural people can sell their products to these industries. And industries will purchase from the rural people and they will process these products and sell in the market. So rural people also would be able to easily sell their product with a good income. So their income level increase, they will be able to lead a better standard of living. So in the rural areas, different types of industries, just like honey collection centers and vegetable processing units, dal processing units, and such cold storage. Because people, if a cold storage is established, people would be able to keep their vegetables immediately after the harvest in this cold storage. So till they get a better price, they will be able to keep their products in the cold storage. So when there is better price in the market, they would be able to take their product from the cold storage and they would be able to sell in the market. And another one, actually, according to a study conducted by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is the new name of Planning Commission. National Institute of Transforming India. National Institute for Transforming India. That is the full form of Niti Aayog. According to the survey made by Niti Aayog, in India, around 60% of our population comprises the category of 5 to 29 years. In between these 5 to 29 years, around 51% of our population only getting education. Remaining 49% of this category of people are not attending school. So if they also get, if education provided to them, if education need to provide to them, more schools want to be constructed, more colleges should be there, more universities should be there, and in all these, teachers and non-teaching staffs also needed. So as per the study conducted by Niti Aayog, around 20 lakh opportunity can be created, 20 lakh job opportunities can be created in educational field alone. Similarly, the health institutions, for maintaining the proper health of the Indian population, more number of health institutions should be established in every nook and corner of our country. So when health institutions are established, doctors are needed, nursing staffs needed, and other staffs are also needed. So more employment opportunities would be created in the health sector also. The same way, development of tourism. In India, tourism sector alone can provide more and more lakhs of employment opportunities if properly developed. So development of tourism is also one method of creating employment opportunities. Another one, development of IT industries. So actually nowadays IT industries, people are focusing in IT industries, information technology and communication technology industries. The development of these industries also would create more employment opportunities. So actually construction of dams and canals, arrangement of proper transportation, cheap credit, setting up of industries in semi-rural areas, establishment of education institutions, establishment of health institutions, development of tourism, development of IT industries. These are the different ways to create employment opportunities. But one problem is that for the arrangement of all these, time needed. Because within 1 day or 2 days or within 1 month or within a short span of life, within a short period of life, this cannot be completed. Within a short period of time, all these job opportunities can be completed. So in the rural area, people want to solve their financial problems very immediately. And for that, Government of India introduced a particular program. And that is introduced in 2005. And the name of that program is MGNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. That is the full form. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. As per this program, Government of India provides 100 days employment in 1 year for the rural people. 100 days of employment. And in any case, if government is not able to provide 100 days of employment, the remaining days allowance also will be provided by the government. So in order to solve the economic problem of the people in rural area very immediately, Government of India introduced this program in the year 2005. So these are the different methods or ways to create employment opportunities in the rural areas and also semi-rural areas. Now let us study about division of sectors as organized and unorganized sectors. So organized and unorganized facilities available in the organized sector and unorganized sectors. First of all, let us see what institutions are called organized sector institutions. Large establishments like all the government institutions are organized sector institutions. Big factories, big industries, schools, hospitals, all this will come under organized sector institutions because large number of workers, institutions where large number of workers are working, such institutions are called mainly organized sector institutions. Unorganized sector institutions are small establishments, small shops, very simple establishments, small establishments. Such establishments are called unorganized sector establishments. So now let's see facilities available in the organized sector and unorganized sector. So we know that actually, first of all, we have to understand that all the organized sector institutions can work as per the laws made by the government. Mainly Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, and Shops and Establishments Act. These are the four main laws made by Government of India. All organized sector institutions can run or work by following these laws made by the government. And rules and regulations set by the government must be followed. All the organized sector institutions should register with the government, and all these institutions must be ready to follow the laws made by the government. Laws made on the basis of Factories Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Minimum Wages Act, Shops and Establishments Act. Now let us see the facilities available in the organized sector. So in the organized sector, at the time of appointment, one appointment letter will be available. If a person is appointed for a particular job, at the time of appointment, he will get an appointment letter. And another facility available is a regular job. Means without any particular reason, once appointed without any particular reason, the owner cannot terminate one employee from the service. Employer cannot terminate employee from the service once appointed without proper reasons. So that means job security is there, or regular job also will be available. Second one, minimum working hours. In the organized sector, there will be only limited working hours. If extra work is needed, extra payment should be provided for the employees by the employer. So minimum working hours only will be there. Then better salary will be there. Every month or at the end of the month, there will be salary. At the end of every month, salary will be available. That also better pay will be available. Then provident fund will be there. After the retirement from service, provident fund also will be available. Then gratuity will be another type of fund. That is gratuity also will be available. Then paid leave will be available. Paid holidays, pensions, safe working environment, extra pay for extra work. All these facilities will be available in the organized sector. So at the time of appointment letter will be there, and regular job, job security, minimum working hours, better payment, provident fund, gratuity, paid leave, paid holidays, pensions, safe working environment, extra pay for extra work, safe drinking water facilities. All these facilities will be available in the organized sector. Medical facilities also will be available in the organized sector. That means once appointed, without any proper reason, employer cannot terminate employee from service. That means job security is there. That is why almost all the people like to get a job in organized sector. But the problem is that educated and skilled people are mainly getting employment opportunities in the organized sector. Now, let us see about unorganized sector. Unorganized sector, already we have seen small establishments. When you go to a market, you can see many small shops. When employer or owner of that shop appoint one worker, no appointment letter is given there. And also we can say actually there is no surety that there will be a regular job, and there will be sometimes overtime work also will be there. There is no extra payment for extra work. There is no government's provident fund. There is no gratuity. There is no paid leave, no paid holidays, no pensions, and even say working environment will not be there. Medical facilities will not be there. So whatever may be the facilities available in the organized sector, no such facilities will be available for the workers in the unorganized sector. There are also some rules are there, but these rules are not properly followed by the employers. These are the differences between organized and unorganized sector. That means the conditions of work of the workers in the organized and unorganized sectors. Now let us see how to protect workers in the unorganized sector. We know that everyone likes to get a job in organized sector because many facilities are available in the organized sector. Already we have seen the conditions of work in the organized sector and unorganized sector. Already we have seen. Because of that, everyone likes to get a job in the organized sector. But the problem is that very limited employment opportunities are only available in the organized sector. And moreover, job opportunities mainly will be available for skilled and educated people. So, a large number of people are depending on unorganized sector for getting employment opportunities and for finding out their means of livelihood. But when they are working in the unorganized sector, they are getting exploited by employers. So, what government can do? What steps government can take for the protection of workers in the unorganized sector? Let's see that. First of all, government can fix minimum wages. In the unorganized sector, lots of institutions are there, and large number of people are working in these unorganized sector institutions also. So, government can fix minimum wages so that people can at least get a minimum wage and lead a satisfactory life. Second one, government should provide specific working hours. So, government should control exploitation of workers by the employers. For that, government should set minimum working hours like 8 hours work or 9 hours work, like that. And government should make laws on overtime work. If there is extra work, extra payment should be provided. Such laws also government want to make. And government want to arrange facilities for providing cheap loan. Because majority of the people in this poor category are depending money lenders for the arrangement of money or loan. If they arrange money from money lenders, they need to pay a very high rate of interest. This affects their total income and means of livelihood. So, if government arrange cheap credit, people would be able to take a loan and they would be able to set up any self-business, self-employment or any self-businesses also. And government should open small-scale industries in rural areas also, urban areas also, semi-rural areas also, in such areas. So, large number of people in all these areas will get employment opportunities in such kinds of small industries. These are some of the ways or some of the steps government can take for the protection of workers in the unorganized sector. So, government can fix minimum wages, government should provide specific working hours, government can make laws on overtime work, government can provide cheap loan, and government should open small scale industries. These steps government should take for the protection of workers in the unorganized sector. Now let us see the topic, sectors in terms of ownership. Sectors in terms of ownership are of two types: public sector and private sector. which are private sector establishments and which are public sector establishments. Public sector means all the establishments which are owned and operated by government or basically controlled by government. Such establishments are called public sector industries. And private sector means all the establishments which are owned by private individuals or companies. Such establishments are called private sector establishments. Some examples of public sector: Indian Railway, Post and Telegraph, like that. And private sector: Reliance Industries Limited, Tata Anand Steel Company Limited. All these are examples of private sector industries. So there are two types of industries on the basis of ownership, two sectors of economy: public sector economy, private sector economy. Public sector economy means all the establishments which are owned and operated by government, like Indian Railway, Post and Telegraph, like that. And private sector, all the establishments which are owned and operated by private individuals or private companies can be called as private sector economy or private sector enterprises, like Reliance Industries Limited and Tisco, Tisco, etc. So now let's see the roles of public sector. We know that private sector is mainly aiming only profit. They are not at all bothered about the problems of the people. They are not at all concerned about the sufferings of the people. Their ultimate aim is to earn maximum profit. Whenever they provide any facility or any service, in return they are charging higher rate from the ordinary people, because they are profit motive enterprises. Private companies are always aiming to earn maximum profit. But government or public sector is not like that. They are aiming profit as well as they are aiming the welfare of the people. Not only aiming the profit, public sector economy or public sector enterprises are aiming profit as well as the welfare of the people. And now let's see, when public sector is aiming the welfare of the people, what facilities public sector is arranging for the people. First of all, invest money on important establishments. All the major establishments are controlled by, operated by, established by government, because large sum of money need to be invested. So private companies are ready to invest such huge amount of money, just like for the arrangement of airport, for the arrangement of a bridge, road facilities, railway facilities, electricity, for the construction of dam. For all these, huge investment is needed. Government can invest such huge money. Many private companies also may like to invest. They are able to invest. But the problem is that government is aiming the welfare of the people. Private companies are aiming only profit. If private companies got opportunities to invest money for the arrangement of electricity, for the arrangement of dam, canals, for the arrangement of bridge, railway station, airport, for the arrangement of all these facilities, private companies will charge a huge amount from the people. It will be beyond the capacity of the people. They cannot afford these facilities. So people will be really in trouble. So in order to help the people, in order to provide these facilities to the people, in order to help the people to access these facilities, government or public sector is taking initiative steps. Public sector is investing money on arrangement of all these kind of facilities, because these are major established or necessary establishments. Very important establishments like railway station, airport, dams, canals, electricity, or bridges or roads, everything. These are very much necessary for the people. So if private companies got opportunity to establish this all, they will charge very high interest, high money, high rate from the ordinary people, which will be beyond the capacity of ordinary people. So now let's see here, second one. Private sector also gives help to private sector for the development of private sector. For example, Sometimes we know that the government is producing electricity and supplying electricity to the private companies or private industries with low rate. If the rate of electricity is very high, it will affect the profit of the private companies or private industries. Because the total yield, if the rate of electricity is increased, it will affect the total cost of production. Cost of production will increase. When the cost of production increases, they may not be able to sell their product in the market with cheap rate. So buyers will be very less. If their product is very high expensive, then nobody will be there as buyers. If buyers are less, gradually the factories will be shut down. If factories shut down, large number of people who once employed in these factories will face unemployment. So for helping the people or for helping this private sector, government is reducing the cost of electricity. That means government is even helping private sector to develop. And government's policy, MSP policy, minimum support price. Through this policy, government is purchasing food grains from the farmers by giving better amount. Food grains, minimum support price. Government is collecting food grains from the farmers by giving a better amount. And this food grain, government again distributing to the poor people of India with very cheap rate. Suppose if 1 kilogram of rice, government provide ₹20 for 1 kilogram of rice and wheat. Government gives this money to the farmers and collects from the farmers. And the same rice and wheat government distributes to the poor people in India with ₹1 per kilogram, ₹2 per kilogram. The rest of the cost, government bears the cost. So for the welfare of the farmers and for the welfare of the poor people, government bears the cost through the minimum support price policy. And in another field, here government must spend on health and education, on arrangement of health and education. Because all the people in India cannot go to multi-speciality hospitals for getting better treatment. Or they cannot send their children to private schools for getting better education. Because fee structure will be very high in these areas. And that's why government is spending huge amount of money every year on arrangement of health facilities and educational facilities in India. In every nook and corner, government of India is trying to establish schools and hospitals for providing better health facilities. Because in these areas also, private companies are investing money, but they are aiming profit. So all the people cannot go to private hospitals or private schools, and that's why they need to get the service of health service and education service, and for that government wanted to spend. So we know that public sector is aiming the welfare of the people, but private sector is aiming only profit. These are the differences. So all of you read this chapter very thoroughly and prepare well for the first term examination. This chapter is very important for first term examination also.